If you're over 60, every drop of water that touches your skin, every step you take into the bathroom, and every moment you spend under the shower can directly impact your heart, for better or for worse. What if I told you that your shower, something you've done nearly every day for most of your life, might be silently damaging your heart, one habit at a time? I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to protect you. Because I'm a heart doctor and I've seen far too many seniors come into my clinic feeling fine, thinking everything was normal, until the test results showed high blood pressure, irregular rhythms, or silent cardiac strain they never saw coming. And in many of those cases, it wasn't poor diet, lack of exercise, or even aging itself that caused the problem. It was a handful of small, repeated mistakes inside the shower, the very place they thought they were doing something healthy. In this video, I'm begging you to stop 9 specific shower habits that could be slowly weakening your heart. Don't worry, I'll show you safer alternatives too. Stay with me, because habit number 1 might be the one you did this morning without even realizing it. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Showering with water that's too hot, the silent enemy of blood pressure. You might think stepping into a steaming hot shower is one of life's small pleasures. It feels comforting, relaxing, especially when your joints are stiff or your back aches in the morning. It feels like you're doing something good for your body. But what if I told you that this very habit, something you've done for decades, could be silently stressing your heart every single time? Hot showers may seem harmless, even therapeutic, but for a heart over the age of 60, they can pose a hidden danger that many seniors never see coming. As we get older, the body's ability to regulate temperature weakens. Your blood vessels become stiffer, your arteries less responsive, and your cardiovascular system no longer adapts as quickly as it once did. When you expose your body to high heat, like in a hot shower, your blood vessels dilate. They expand suddenly, and this causes your blood pressure to drop sharply. In response, your heart has to work harder, much harder, to stabilize blood flow and maintain equilibrium. That sudden surge in demand can be devastating for an aging heart. For younger bodies, this isn't a big deal. But if you're living with high blood pressure, heart disease, or even just the natural wear and tear of aging arteries, this shock to the system can trigger a cascade of cardiovascular stress, the kind that you might not feel right away, but your heart certainly does. I remember one patient vividly. His name was Donald, 74 years old. He came into my clinic for what he described as lightheadedness after showering. He brushed it off, thinking maybe he stood up too fast or didn't eat enough that morning. But after a full cardiac workup, it became clear. Donald's heart was struggling to adjust to the heat stress from his morning routine. He had developed unstable blood pressure swings and an irregular heartbeat. What started as a harmless habit had become a daily attack on his heart. He didn't feel it happening until one morning he collapsed. Donald survived, but he told me, "Doc, I never thought something as simple as a shower could take me down." And that's what scares me the most, because many of you reading or watching this right now feel fine. You think your heart is doing okay. After all, you're not in pain, you're active, you walk every day. But inside, your heart might be under strain you can't see. A silent kind of stress, a kind that builds slowly, until one day it breaks. You might not feel the blood pressure spike. You might not notice your heart racing slightly more than usual after a hot rinse. But each day, that invisible toll adds up. And the worst part? This habit is so easy to dismiss, so common, so normal. That's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Now, does this mean you can't enjoy a warm shower? Of course not. Warm water is still fine, but not hot, not steaming, not the kind that fogs up the entire bathroom and leaves your skin flushed red. You need to dial the temperature down to what doctors call a neutral warmth, somewhere between 90 to 100 32, 37 degrees C. That's warm enough to comfort your joints, but safe enough to keep your heart steady. Also, avoid starting the shower with the hot stream hitting your chest or head directly. Begin from the feet. Let your body gradually adjust. This one change alone can prevent sudden drops or spikes in blood pressure, which, for someone over 65, can mean the difference between a stable morning or a medical emergency. My message to you isn't one of fear, it's one of protection. Because if no one tells you these truths, how can you ever make the right choices? You've lived too long and survived too much to let a simple mistake chip away at your health one morning at a time. So the next time you turn that shower knob, pause. Ask yourself, is this moment of comfort worth a silent attack on my heart? And just when you think you've made your routine safer, there's another common shower mistake many seniors unknowingly make. And this one has nothing to do with temperature. It has everything to do with timing. What if I told you there's a wrong time to shower that puts your heart at its weakest? Let's talk about that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Showering immediately after a meal, when your heart fights on two fronts. For many seniors, a warm shower after a hearty meal feels like a well-earned reward. You've prepared your food, enjoyed it slowly, maybe even cleaned the kitchen. And then you think, now it's time to relax with a nice shower. It sounds peaceful, even nourishing, but here's a truth that almost no one talks about. A truth I've had to explain to patients more times than I can count. Showering too soon after eating can quietly overwhelm your heart. You see, when you eat a meal, especially a full meal with protein, carbohydrates, and fat, your body kicks into a process called postprandial digestion. This is when your blood flow is naturally redirected toward your stomach and intestines to help break down food, absorb nutrients, and support your metabolism. It's a beautifully orchestrated system, but it's also a very demanding one, especially for an aging body. Now, if you step into a shower during this delicate window, your body is suddenly forced to divide its resources. The heat from the water causes vasodilation. Your blood vessels expand, especially near the surface of your skin. This signals your heart to send more blood to the periphery to regulate temperature. But your digestive system is already demanding increased blood supply to do its job. Suddenly, your heart is stuck in the middle, being pulled in two directions at once, and neither side can be ignored. This is what I call the two-front battle, a quiet but very real cardiovascular conflict that can spiral out of control, especially in older adults with high blood pressure, arrhythmias, or coronary artery disease. I've seen this too many times. Let me tell you about Margaret, an 81-year-old woman who came into my office after experiencing dizzy spells and chest heaviness in the mornings. She told me it always happened after breakfast, but never during the meal. Curious, I asked her to walk me through her routine. That's when she mentioned her habit of heading straight to the shower the moment she put her coffee cup in the sink. She had done this for years, never thinking twice. After a few simple cardiac tests and a postprandial blood pressure assessment, the truth emerged. Margaret was unknowingly placing her heart under significant stress every single day. The combination of digestion and heat exposure was causing rapid blood pressure swings leading to episodes of lightheadedness, cardiac strain, and dangerously unstable rhythms. She never connected the dots. She assumed it was just aging. But it wasn't aging. It was a daily habit that, over time, could have destroyed her heart. After she adjusted her schedule, waiting at least 60 to 90 minutes after eating before showering, her symptoms disappeared, her heart rate stabilized, and most importantly, she stopped living with fear every morning. She told me, "I thought I was falling apart. I didn't realize I was the one pushing my heart too hard." Margaret's story is not rare, and perhaps you too have felt that slight discomfort after a meal, a flutter in your chest, a light sweat, maybe even a touch of nausea. You probably brushed it off, but if you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, your heart deserves more than your assumptions. It deserves your awareness. Here's the rule. After eating, let your body focus on digestion. Sit, rest, read, watch the birds outside your window. Give your heart the space to do one job at a time. Because when you rush into a hot shower post-meal, you're not being efficient. You're forcing your heart into a dangerous multitasking act that may cost you more than you know. You don't need to fear your routine, but you do need to respect your rhythm. Aging isn't the problem. Overloading a heart that's already doing its best, that's the real threat. And now that we've covered when to avoid the shower, let me ask you something deeper. What if the biggest danger in your bathroom isn't the heat or the timing, but the length of time you spend in the shower itself? What if staying in too long could actually weaken your heart over time, without a single symptom until it's too late? Let's talk about that next. 3. Taking long showers. When relaxation becomes a hidden danger to the aging heart. We often think of the shower as a place of peace, a quiet escape from the world, a soothing break from the aches and fatigue of age. For many seniors, a long hot shower is one of the few rituals that still feels good, consistent, safe. The warm water, the stillness, the solitude, it can feel like therapy. But what if I told you that spending too long in the shower, especially as you age, can quietly put your heart at risk? You see, as a cardiologist, I've had to help many older adults rethink even their most routine habits. Why? Because what felt good at 40 or even 55 doesn't always feel the same at 70 or 80, especially not to your heart. And long showers are one of those seemingly innocent habits that can be silently dangerous, particularly when combined with warm or hot water. Here's what happens inside your body. As the minutes pass in a steamy shower, your core temperature begins to rise. Your blood vessels expand to help cool you down, drawing blood away from your central organs, including your heart and brain, and redirecting it towards your skin. This creates a drop in blood pressure, which for a younger person might be well tolerated. But in an aging body, especially one with stiff arteries or a history of hypertension, this drop can be too much, too fast. The heart, now under pressure, speeds up to compensate. And here's the danger. If it's already a weakened heart, if there's hidden plaque or prior damage, this effort can lead to rhythm disturbances, sudden dizziness, or even fainting. You don't feel it coming until it happens. I remember a patient named Eleanor, age 79. She was independent, sharp, and proud of how well she managed on her own. She told me she loved long, quiet showers in the evening, sometimes 25, even 30 minutes. "It's where I feel the most calm," she said. But she started experiencing what she called strange spells afterward, moments where the room spun, where her heart fluttered, and she needed to sit down quickly. She thought it was dehydration, or maybe the flu. But when I examined her and looked at her blood pressure recovery times and postural response, it became clear. Her heart was overworking itself during her showers. Her long exposure to heat and steam was causing vasodilation, rapid blood pressure drops, and strain on her left ventricle, the chamber of the heart most responsible for pumping blood to the body. One of her strange spells could have been a serious syncopal episode, or worse, a fall that led to a broken hip or traumatic brain injury. She looked at me and asked, "Doctor, was I doing this to myself?" And I had to tell her the truth. Yes, but not intentionally. She thought she was relaxing, but in reality, she was placing daily strain on a heart that had quietly aged without her noticing. This is what makes long showers dangerous, not because they feel wrong, but because they feel right. Too right. And by the time the damage appears, it's often too late. So, what's safe? Ideally, keep your showers under 15 minutes, especially if the water is warm, or if you shower in the morning or late at night when your body's temperature regulation is already vulnerable. If you notice any lightheadedness, irregular heartbeat, or fatigue after showering, do not ignore it. These are not just signs of getting older. They are your heart warning you. Because here's the truth. Consistently exposing your body to heat and extended cardiovascular strain, even in the name of comfort, can slowly destroy your heart. Not with pain or drama, but with small daily stressors that wear it down, bit by bit, day by day. Eleanor changed her habit. She shortened her showers, kept the temperature mild, and installed a small shower seat in case she ever felt dizzy. 3 months later, her symptoms were gone. She told me, "I still enjoy my showers, but now I don't have to recover from them." This isn't about giving up your comfort. It's about protecting the comfort you still have left. Your heart doesn't need long battles anymore. It needs peace, gentleness, and smart choices. And just when you think you've made your shower safer, there's something even more dangerous lurking. It's not about water or time, it's about where and when. Because the very environment where you shower, the temperature of the room around you, might just be the most dangerous part of all. Let's talk about that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Showering in extreme temperatures. When the weather becomes your heart's silent enemy. As we age, the little things we once ignored start to matter more than ever. The outside temperature, the time of day, even the feel of the bathroom floor beneath our feet. These details, once brushed off as minor, can quietly become life-altering risks, especially when it comes to heart health. And one of the most underestimated dangers I see as a cardiologist is this. Showering in extreme temperatures, whether too hot or too cold, can push an aging heart to its breaking point. Now, I understand why it happens. On a cold winter morning, nothing feels better than stepping into a steaming shower to chase away the chill. And during a scorching summer afternoon, it's tempting to cool down quickly under a burst of cold water. These reactions are instinctive, but they can also be incredibly dangerous. For seniors, the body's ability to regulate internal temperature weakens significantly. Thermal regulation, the process that helps keep your body at a stable temperature, becomes slower and less efficient with age. This means your blood vessels respond more sluggishly to temperature shifts. Your heart, as a result, must work harder to maintain balance. In cold weather, your blood vessels constrict to preserve core heat. This causes a sudden increase in blood pressure, placing greater demand on your heart to pump blood through narrower channels. It's like trying to force water through a tightening hose. For someone with high blood pressure, clogged arteries, or a history of heart disease, this spike can be catastrophic. On the other hand, in hot weather, your blood vessels dilate. They widen rapidly to help your body cool down. While this lowers blood pressure, It can lead to dizziness, fainting, or even dangerous drops in circulation, especially if you're already taking heart medications that influence blood pressure, like beta blockers or diuretics. What makes showers especially risky is how quickly they change your body's internal environment. You step from a cold room into hot steam, or from the hot outdoors into a frigid shower. And within seconds, your blood vessels are reacting. Your heart is adapting. And in that moment, if it can't keep up, the result can be a fall. Or worse. I think of a patient named Walter, age 82, a retired Air Force mechanic, still sharp, still proud of his independence. One icy February morning, Walter decided to take a hot shower after retrieving the newspaper outside. He'd been out in the cold for only 5 minutes, but when he stepped into his bathroom, his house was still chilly, the floors cold, the room barely warmed. He turned the shower all the way to hot. "I just wanted to warm up," he told me. Minutes later, he collapsed. His wife found him on the shower floor, pale, breathing heavily, his pulse irregular. When I saw him in the ER, he had suffered a vasovagal episode triggered by the sudden temperature shift. His blood pressure had dropped, his heart rhythm destabilized. It could have easily turned into a heart attack or stroke. He was lucky. But what frightened Walter most was how quickly it all happened. "I didn't feel it coming, Doc. One moment I was standing, the next, I wasn't." That's how it often works. Your heart doesn't scream, it whispers. And if you ignore those whispers, over time, they build into something that can quietly destroy your heart. That's why I urge every senior, please, never take a shower in a room that's too cold or too hot. Always warm your bathroom before stepping inside in the winter. Use a small heater or warm towel to prep the space. In the summer, keep the room cool but not cold. Avoid sudden temperature extremes. And most importantly, listen to how your body feels. Not how it used to feel 30 years ago, but how it feels now, today. You are not fragile. You are wise. And wisdom means making choices that protect your longevity, not challenge it. Because a healthy heart doesn't just come from exercise or medication. It comes from respecting your environment, understanding your limits, and making smart, kind decisions about your daily habits, even something as simple as when and how you shower. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'll adjust the temperature, I'll warm the room, I'll be careful. But there's one more mistake many seniors make that has nothing to do with heat or cold. It has to do with how your body reacts after a shower, especially if you stand up too fast or move too quickly. And for some, that mistake ends in an ambulance ride. Let's talk about that next. 5. Standing up too fast after showering. The sudden drop that can shatter your heart. It seems like such a small thing. You finish your shower, you reach for your towel, and you step out or stand up without thinking. After all, you've done it 1,000 times in your life. But what if I told you that this everyday movement, something as ordinary as standing up too quickly after a warm shower, could be the very thing that sends you crashing to the floor, or worse, crashing your heart into an irreversible spiral? Most seniors aren't warned about this. No one talks about it at the doctor's office. No one teaches it in senior fitness classes. But for those of us in cardiology, we've seen it again and again. Postural hypotension, a dangerous drop in blood pressure that occurs when you move from a seated or lying position to standing, especially after being in a warm, enclosed space like a shower. Here's what's happening inside your body. During a warm shower, your blood vessels are already dilated, expanded, as part of your body's natural way to release heat. This causes your blood to pool slightly in your lower extremities. Now, when you stand up suddenly, your heart is forced to work harder to push that blood back upward against gravity. and maintain blood pressure in your brain and other vital organs. But in an aging circulatory system, one that may already be slowed by stiff arteries or weakened heart function, this response doesn't happen fast enough. The result? Your blood pressure plummets, your heart rhythm falters, and your brain gets momentarily deprived of oxygen. That's when you feel it. The spinning room, the wave of nausea, the sudden collapse. One of my patients, Harold, age 76, came into my clinic after a frightening fall in his bathroom. He said it happened just like that. He had been sitting on his shower stool enjoying a quick warm rinse, and the moment he stood up to dry off, he blacked out. His wife found him on the floor, disoriented and bruised, with a deep cut on his eyebrow. But what scared him the most wasn't the fall. It was the feeling he had just before it. Like everything inside me dropped, he told me. Like my heart just gave out. And he wasn't wrong. On testing, we found that Harold's systolic blood pressure was falling more than 25 points every time he stood up, and his heart rate was trying to compensate by speeding up erratically. The official diagnosis was orthostatic hypotension with compensatory tachycardia, a dangerous combination that can not only cause falls, but over time, destroy your heart's stability. That's the part many seniors don't realize. It's not just about avoiding injury from a fall, although that risk is real and serious. It's about protecting your cardiovascular system from being thrown into chaos every time you stand. These sharp drops, repeated day after day, place cumulative stress on your heart and your brain. They can lead to micro damage in the heart muscle, long-term oxygen deficits to critical areas, and irregular rhythms that increase your risk of heart failure or stroke. And the most terrifying part, you may not even know it's happening. You might chalk it up to aging. You might think you're just getting a little dizzy sometimes. But if you're over 65, these are not small things. They are warnings. So what can you do? Slow down. Sit for a moment before standing. Keep a hand on a support bar. If you're using a shower chair, good, that's smart. But be sure to pause before rising. Let your heart catch up. Let your blood pressure stabilize. Hydrate properly. And speak with your doctor about checking for postural blood pressure changes. It's a simple test, but one that's often overlooked. Harold made changes. We adjusted his medications, coached him on safer transitions, and installed grab bars in his bathroom. And now, months later, he's back to showering confidently, but never quickly. Doc, he told me, I used to think I was still 40 in my head. Now, I treat my heart like it's 76, and I think it's grateful. Remember, your heart doesn't ask for much, just that you give it the time and space to do its job, especially in those everyday moments that seem harmless. And speaking of everyday habits, what if I told you there's something even more subtle than standing up too fast? Something you can't even feel. Something happening during the night that's robbing your heart of its most important chance to heal? Let's talk about that next. 6. Showering too late at night. When good intentions interrupt deep cardiac healing. It's the end of the day. The dishes are done. The house is quiet. The television's off. And you finally feel like you have a moment to yourself. For many older adults, that's the time they decide to take a shower, not because they feel dirty, but because it helps them unwind. It helps me sleep, they say. It's my nighttime routine. But what if I told you that showering too late, even a light warm one, could be disrupting one of the most vital healing processes your heart depends on? We often forget that sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. It's when your heart gets a break from the constant strain of the day. During deep sleep, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure dips, and your entire cardiovascular system enters a state of recovery. This is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without it, inflammation rises. Blood vessels stiffen. Irregular heart rhythms become more likely. The body becomes more insulin resistant. And day by day, your heart becomes more vulnerable. Now, here's the problem. A late night shower, even if it's brief, can rob you of this critical window. When you expose yourself to warm water too close to bedtime, it raises your core body temperature, which sends the wrong signal to your brain. Your nervous system becomes activated, not calmed. And instead of preparing for deep rest, your body starts preparing for alertness. It releases adrenaline and cortisol, hormones designed to wake you up, not wind you down. You may fall asleep, but you won't fall into the kind of deep, regenerative sleep that your heart so desperately needs. I saw this play out in a patient named Martha, age 84. She came to me complaining of constant fatigue, fluctuating blood pressure, and irregular heartbeat episodes that seemed to worsen overnight. She was on the right medications. Her diet was reasonable, but something was off. After a long conversation, I asked about her evening routine. She smiled and told me about her habit of taking a hot shower around 10:30 p.m. "It helps me relax," she said. "It's the only quiet time I have." But what she didn't realize was that her late-night shower was spiking her heart rate, disrupting her circadian rhythm, and blocking the very repair cycle her heart needed to stabilize overnight. Her wearable sleep tracker showed repeated heart rate elevations after midnight, and her blood pressure never dipped the way it should have during deep sleep, a phenomenon we call non-dipping, which is strongly linked to increased risk of stroke and heart attack in seniors. Martha wasn't doing anything wrong. She was trying to take care of herself. But her good intentions were, quite literally, destroying her heart's ability to heal. We adjusted her routine. She moved her shower to earlier in the evening, right after dinner. She began dimming lights an hour before bed, allowing her body to cool down naturally. Within a few weeks, her sleep improved, her daytime energy returned, and her nighttime heart rhythms normalized. She told me, "I had no idea something so small could make such a big difference." But that's the truth most seniors don't hear often enough. It's not always the big things that hurt us. Sometimes it's the small habits repeated night after night that wear the heart down over time. If you're someone who enjoys an evening shower, I'm not asking you to give it up. I'm asking you to shift it, earlier in the evening, ideally at least 90 minutes before bedtime, giving your body time to cool down and settle naturally into its sleep cycle. Avoid stimulating body washes or bright lights in the bathroom. Let your nighttime routine be a message to your heart. Now is the time to rest. Because sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's where your heart repairs the invisible damage of the day. And if that healing is disrupted night after night, your heart won't warn you with pain. It will simply weaken until one day it fails when you least expect it. Now, you may think you've got your routine under control. You're mindful of timing, temperature, even the way you dry off. But there's one more habit, often ignored, that could be doing silent daily harm to your heart. It's something as simple as how often you shower. And what if I told you, showering too often could be doing more damage than good? Let's explore that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 7. 7. Showering too often. When cleanliness quietly wears down your heart. Cleanliness is something we were raised to value. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Many of us were told growing up. For decades, we took pride in staying fresh, washing regularly, keeping up with good hygiene. But as we grow older, some habits that once protected us can begin to harm us. And this is especially true when it comes to showering too often. Most people wouldn't expect this to be a risk. After all, what's wrong with staying clean? But for those of us in the medical field, especially those of us who care for aging hearts, we've seen the effects too many times. Because showering too frequently, especially with hot water, can slowly place unnecessary stress on an aging body and an aging heart. Here's what happens beneath the surface. Each time you take a shower, particularly a hot one, your body undergoes a small cardiovascular event. Your blood vessels dilate to cool the body, your heart rate increases slightly, and your blood pressure temporarily shifts. In younger adults, these fluctuations are minor. The body compensates quickly. But in seniors, those compensations don't come as easily. Arteries stiffen with age, blood pressure takes longer to stabilize, and the heart must work harder to maintain equilibrium. Multiply that by 2 or even 3 showers a day, a habit some seniors adopt out of habit, sweat, or fear of not smelling clean. And suddenly you have a body and a heart that are never fully at rest. The cardiovascular system doesn't get a break. The skin doesn't get time to recover. And over time, this repeated stimulation begins to have consequences. I remember a patient named Joanne, 80 years old, who came to see me with complaints of persistent fatigue, skin irritation, and an unusual increase in heart palpitations. She was active, alert, and sharp, but her energy was clearly fading. When I asked about her routine, she proudly shared how she showered 3 times a day. Morning, after my walk, and then again before bed, she said. I can't stand feeling unclean. She didn't know that these frequent showers, especially her morning hot showers and her late-night rinse, were pushing her heart into mild thermal stress and robbing her skin of protective oils that help regulate temperature. Her frequent temperature fluctuations were contributing to her orthostatic drops, and her elevated cortisol levels at night were keeping her heart from settling into a resting rhythm. In other words, her well-meaning cleanliness habit was quietly destroying her heart's recovery cycle. We talked at length about how her body had changed. I explained that at her age, the goal wasn't constant stimulation, but stability. We adjusted her routine, 1 shower per day with gentle water temperature and sponge bathing or gentle rinses only if absolutely needed. Within weeks, her energy returned, the palpitations stopped, and perhaps most importantly, she told me she started feeling more at peace in her body. That's the part we so often overlook as we age. The fact that our bodies need less effort, not more. We've spent our lives pushing, doing, striving, but in our 70s and 80s, health often comes not from doing more, but doing less, with wisdom, with patience, and with care. If you find yourself showering multiple times a day out of routine or discomfort, I urge you to pause and ask, is this about hygiene, or is it about habit? Could a warm cloth, a gentle sponge bath, or a change of clothes offer the same relief without the physical cost? Because your heart doesn't need perfection. It needs rest, rhythm, and regularity. Too many small interruptions, even from something as innocent as a hot shower, can leave it overstimulated, overworked, and ultimately worn down. And once the heart begins to weaken, the signs are not loud. They're quiet. Fatigue, poor sleep, a missed step, a racing pulse in the middle of the night. These are not quirks of aging. They are the whispers of a heart trying to be heard. So take this to heart. Your cleanliness should not come at the cost of your calm. And just when you think you've mastered the perfect shower schedule, there's one more danger. Not about water at all, but about what happens inside your bathroom when the environment isn't prepared. Because sometimes the most dangerous fall doesn't come from your body. It comes from your bathroom itself. Let's talk about that next. 8. Showering in an unsafe bathroom, when one slip could break more than your bones. You've seen the commercials, a senior lying on the floor calling for help. It seems exaggerated, even cliche, until it's not, until it's you, or your spouse, or your closest friend. In my years of treating older adults, I've come to understand one painful truth. The most dangerous place in a senior's home is not the kitchen, not the stairs, not even the front porch. It's the bathroom. And what makes it more tragic is that so many of these injuries were preventable. The shower, that place where we go to feel clean, refreshed, renewed, can also become the scene of our most fragile moment. The combination of smooth tiles, slippery water, steam blurred vision, and the act of lifting limbs in awkward positions creates the perfect storm. And for those over 65, a fall in the shower isn't just a bruise, it's often the beginning of a rapid health decline. What many people don't realize is that when a senior falls, especially in the bathroom, the consequences reach far beyond broken bones. A fractured hip can lead to immobility. Immobility leads to blood clots. Blood clots strain the heart. And then, almost silently, the heart begins to fail, not from trauma, but from the body's inability to recover. I've watched it happen too many times. One of my patients, Richard, age 78, was the picture of independence. He still lived alone, still mowed his own lawn, still drove to the grocery store every Thursday. But one morning, while stepping out of the shower, he slipped on the wet tile. There were no grab bars, no anti slip mat, no one nearby. He hit the floor hard. His hip fractured in two places. He was found 6 hours later by his daughter, barely conscious. But that was just the beginning. Surgery followed, then weeks in rehab. He developed a deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot from the prolonged bed rest. It reached his lungs, then his heart. Over the next few months, Richard's once steady heartbeat began to falter. His cardiac output decreased, and his stamina withered. I feel like I've aged 10 years since that fall, he told me with tears in his eyes. And he wasn't wrong. The fall didn't just break his hip, it broke his independence. And slowly, it began to destroy his heart. Richard's story isn't rare. According to the CDC, more than 3 million older adults visit emergency rooms every year due to falls. And the leading location for those falls is the bathroom. Most happen during or just after a shower. The aftermath is not just physical, but emotional. Seniors lose confidence, they move less, and the heart, which thrives on gentle, regular movement, begins to suffer in silence. So, what can be done? Everything. A safe bathroom isn't a luxury, it's a medical necessity. Install grab bars near the shower entrance and next to the toilet. Use non slip mats both inside and outside of the tub. Consider a shower chair, especially if you've ever felt lightheaded while bathing. Replace loose rugs with secured low profile ones. Make sure the lighting is bright and consistent, no dark corners, and always keep a waterproof medical alert device close by, even if you think you'll never need it. Taking a few minutes to create a safer environment can literally save your life. Because as much as we focus on blood pressure, cholesterol, and heart medications, none of that matters if a single fall takes away your ability to move, to heal, or to fight back. Your heart needs movement. Your heart needs rhythm. And your heart needs you to stay upright. Don't wait for a wake-up call that comes in the form of a siren. Take control now. Protect the space where you're most vulnerable. It's not weakness to prepare, it's wisdom. And just when you think the dangers of the bathroom end with physical slips, there's one final hidden habit, something far less obvious, but no less destructive. Because sometimes the biggest danger isn't in what you do during your shower, it's in what you forget to do after. Let's talk about that next. 9. Not drying off properly. The hidden cold shock that can break an aging heart. You step out of the shower, clean and relaxed. You grab a towel, give yourself a quick rub down, and move on with your day. It seems like such a small detail. And yet, this one overlooked step, not drying off thoroughly, can be surprisingly dangerous, especially for aging hearts. I've treated thousands of older patients over the years, and I can tell you with certainty, it's not just the big things that threaten your health. It's the small, repeated habits, the things you've done all your life without ever thinking twice. And failing to properly dry off after bathing, especially during colder months or in drafty bathrooms, is one of those hidden threats that quietly puts stress on the very muscle that's keeping you alive. Here's why. When water evaporates from your skin, it cools your body. That's just physics. The evaporation process pulls heat from your surface. And if your environment is already cool, or your body's thermal regulation is weakened due to age or medication, that cooling can be sharp and sudden. What happens next is called a cold shock response. When this happens, your blood vessels constrict rapidly, especially in the extremities, and your heart must pump harder to keep blood circulating. This isn't usually a problem for a healthy 30-year-old, but for someone in their 70s or 80s, especially someone with a history of hypertension, arterial stiffness, or even mild heart failure, this sudden vascular change can be overwhelming. It can trigger blood pressure spikes, irregular rhythms, and in some cases, even cardiac ischemia, where the heart muscle doesn't get the oxygen it needs. I remember a patient named Dolores, 81 years old, who had been managing her heart disease quite well. She exercised gently, ate healthily, and followed her doctor's orders. But one morning in early spring, after a shower in her slightly chilly bathroom, she sat down in the living room and felt faint. Her pulse was racing, her hands were clammy, and her blood pressure was elevated. She was rushed to the ER, where I met her. After ruling out other causes, we found that the shock to her system had come from cold exposure following incomplete drying. Her back and shoulders were still damp. The breeze from her open bathroom window, which she kept open to clear the steam, had chilled her more than she realized. Her heart, already doing its best to keep pace with her aging body, was thrown into a state of strain that could have led to a full-blown cardiac event. It was just water, she told me, bewildered. I didn't know something so small could do something so big. But that's exactly the lesson. At her age, at your age, there are no small things anymore. Every decision, every habit, every overlooked step adds up. And yes, even leaving your skin damp for too long after a shower can begin to chip away at your body's delicate balance. Repeated over time, this kind of cardiovascular stress doesn't just drain you, it can destroy your heart's resilience, leaving it more vulnerable with each passing season. So, what should you do? Be thorough, take your time. Use soft, absorbent towels and dry yourself completely, especially areas like your back, chest, neck, and feet. If it's winter or your bathroom is cool, warm the room before you bathe and consider putting on a robe or warm layers immediately after. Avoid walking around in damp clothing or towels. If you tend to feel chilled after bathing, that's your body telling you something, and you need to listen. Because staying clean is important, yes. But staying warm, steady, and safe is how you protect the heart that has carried you through a lifetime. And now, after walking through all 9 of these subtle, easy to overlook shower habits, there's one final message I want to leave with you, one that ties everything together. Because the truth is, It's not just about water or timing or towels. It's about how you treat your body now in this season of life with the awareness and care it deserves. Let me share with you the final, most important takeaway, a message from my heart to yours. A message from my heart to yours. The shower isn't just a routine, it's a reflection of how you care for yourself now. If you've stayed with me through all 9 of these warnings, then I know something about you already. You care. You want to protect your heart. You want to make it to the next chapter of your life, not just alive, but well, not just existing, but truly living. And that's why this message matters more than ever. Because for too long, many seniors have been told that aging is just about slowing down, accepting decline, giving things up. But that's not what I see. What I see, in the hundreds of patients I've treated, is something far more powerful: wisdom. You have lived, you have endured, you have raised children, built homes, worked decades, buried loved ones, and overcome things that would have broken most people. You are not fragile, but your heart has earned the right to be treated with care. The truth is, your heart doesn't just need medication and exercise. It needs respect. It needs you to recognize that the little choices you make, in silence, when no one's watching, can shape whether it beats strong tomorrow or falters under the quiet weight of unrecognized strain. That's why we've walked through these 9 seemingly simple habits: the hot showers, the sudden standing, the late night rinses, the slippery floors, the rushed mornings, the neglected towels, because what looks like routine, what feels normal, may be silently forcing your heart to fight battles it can no longer afford to lose. And this isn't about fear, it's about power. Yes, a hot shower can spike your blood pressure. Yes, cold drafts on damp skin can cause arrhythmias. Yes, a fall in the bathroom can take away your independence in a moment. And yes, repeated strain can destroy your heart even if you never feel a thing. But also, yes, you can take control. Yes, you can make smarter, kinder choices. Yes, you can preserve your health with gentle awareness. Yes, you can live longer and better, starting today. You see, it's never been about the shower. It's about how you show up for yourself now. It's about realizing that aging well isn't passive, it's intentional. And that includes the way you bathe, the way you breathe, the way you protect your balance, your rhythm, your peace. I've watched far too many strong, capable people lose everything because no one told them the small things matter. They came into my office too late, or they didn't see the signs in time. But you, reading this now, you have the chance to do something different. You don't have to rush. You don't have to overhaul your life. But you do need to pay attention, to slow down, to treat your shower not as a chore, but as an act of care, an act of kindness toward the very heart that's carried you through 8, 9, 10 decades of life. So the next time you turn that knob and step into the steam, I want you to remember this. Every gentle decision you make in that room can protect your future. Every non-slip mat, every slower breath, every warm towel, every thoughtful pause, they aren't just small things, they're life-giving. They're how you love the version of yourself you are now. And that love, more than anything else, is what keeps your heart beating strong. So let this be your new ritual, not just getting clean, but getting conscious. Because when you treat your heart with honor, it will keep honoring you. one steady beat at a time. And if no one has told you this today, let me be the one to say it. You're not too old. It's not too late. And your heart is still worth protecting. Always. Your doctor, your advocate, and someone who still believes in the strength of a quiet decision made well. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.